simply admire, as we do with all our guests. We're blessed to have Jah-Phyah Payne, style influencer with us. Jah-Phyah,
how you doing, man?
Good, really good, and give thanks for coming.
Give thanks, man. Thank you for having me.
No, seriously, it's really good to touch base and catch up. And the thing is for me is that because you're a style influencer, as we're mentioning off camera, I am inspired by the 1920s jazz era.
Yeah.
And I'm really just also intrigued, right, by you and your inspirations.
It's funny you say that, that you're inspired by the 1920s jazz era, because that's sort of where I take my inspiration from like during the 1920s throughout the 1970s. So
yes.
What I do, I take like the olden days fashion and I basically put a bit of modern touch to it to give it that urban flavor to it. So that's sort of like where most of my inspiration comes from.
Yes, and the thing is, also with a very competitive market as fashion is, how are you able to distinguish your work from everything that's out there right now?
That's actually a good question, because no one has ever actually asked me that question. To be honest, when it comes to my type of clothing, you can always tell my type of clothing because of the drop crotch trousers, and it's so, because of these trousers, the inspiration came from the military World War II breeches, and they were called the breeches trousers, so that's where the inspiration for those type of trousers. And they're not easily accessibly on the market, so people can identify my clothes by the cut and frame, because each and every one of my clothing, it has a significant cut and a frame to it. And also the tops that I'll be doing, all of them will have like epaulets. When we go back to the 80s, where I used to wear epaulets to basic school, growing up. So it's like everything from my past and basically putting into my fashion, because my past also is a part of my identity, and I want to have that real original creation with my clothing, so that there's no other clothing out there like what I'm bringing to the market. So yeah.
I see, is that authentic approach to your work. You mentioned epaulets, very much like yourself. I remember wearing epaulets on my shirts to school. Where did you grow up?
I spent 10 years of my life in Jamaica before I came to the UK. So I also have that sort of Jamaican background to me. So I also express myself from my heritage and from where I came from as well. So yeah, Jamaica is a big part of my life and also my inspiration.
I can connect with you on that, because when you mentioned epaulets, right away I thought of high school Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right? And you mentioned also about your background, your heritage playing a major part in your work just now. How so? And why is that so important to you?
One of the reasons why is because I realized with a lot of people, especially Jamaicans, that come to England, I think sometimes they forget their heritage, their culture, and in a set, well, not all of them, but some of them, where I always want to keep that true. When it comes to my clothing, I want it to be real. I want to sell customer truth and realness, I want to sell them style. And when it comes to that part of my Jamaican culture, I want to incorporate who I am as a being. I don't want to leave out that sort of side to my personality, or when it comes to my clothing, I want to merge. I'm a believer in merging and fusing things together and create art. So Jamaica is a big inspiration to me, the music, the food, and I create all those things, and just merge it together with the creative ideas that I'm flowing with now. So
one of the things that I find intriguing about some people is that they try to be either this or that. They try to be one thing or the other thing. But it appears as though you are a combination of many aspects in one without being a contradiction. How does that work to you?
It's crazy because I'm a very passionate person. I'm very sensitive. Not to be honest, when I mention sensitive to people, they might take it in a way like I'm all emotional and stuff like that. But to me, sensitivity is being able to feel everything around you, to understand what's going on around you, to be aware, you know. So it's like, I don't want to just be one thing when I have so many personalities and so many things. I'm one man with a lot of different personalities, you know, and I have so many things inside of me to offer. And the thing with a lot of people, they want to be this and they want to be that because they're confused with their own self. Because I think every one of us, we go through a period of transition, you know, within our lives, and the people that we meet, they help to create who we are, who we will become in the future, if that makes sense, you know. So it's like I think that every single human being has a whole heap of things inside of them to give to the world. And the only way you can find those things, unless you dig deep inside, unless you aren't afraid to speak how you feel, you're not afraid to express your feelings, and you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in. And that's who I am. I'm just a free-spirited person.
The thing is, the advent of social media now is such that many of us have access to the views, thoughts, and opinions of many people. How do you deal with, in terms of your brand, Crain, Couture, how do you deal with the media attention around your brand and around you?
I deal with it quite good, to be honest. Yeah, I'm very humble, you know, when it comes to the attention, you know, on myself or towards my brand. Obviously, my brand is still upcoming. I'm still designing. I'm still creating, like aligning things so that my clothing can be more accessible to the public, you know. So, but definitely, all the attention that I get is just fantastic. Especially my fan base around my clothing is in America. So, and I believe once you cross the American market, you kind of crossed over anywhere else. So it's like right now I have the most love from America, and also I'm a big advocate on the LGBT community. So I do like shows, I speak to younger kids, especially people going through transition in their life and stuff like that. So, you know, it's good. The feedback's good, and I just remain myself and just try to be a good person with everything I do.
Would you say that you're socially conscious?
Not really. I wouldn't say I'm socially conscious. I know that, you know, I'm out there, people know who I am, and I'm a free spirit, like I said before. And when you're free in spirit, you don't really, you know, you're not really bothered too much about society and what's really going on around you. All that noise, you know, just stays in the background. So I wouldn't say I'm socially conscious, no.
In terms of, you go back to the refrain of being a free spirit, right? What does being a free spirit mean to you?
Free spirit means to me someone that is aware of their surroundings, aware of their self, who knows themselves, who knows that there are people out there and everyone is different. We all don't share the same likes, the same beliefs, the same whatever, you know? I just feel like being able to be yourself, your true self in true form, that's being free. Because a lot of us, we're living, but we're alive, but we're not really living, you know, if that makes sense. We're still caged. It's like we're in prison. And when you're in prison, you can't fly. You know, so me, I feel like I'm a bird, and which is why I gave my clothing brand the name Crow. And the crow grain couture, it represents freedom of expression because it's a crow that's locked up inside like a cage, and the grain is right outside. So he's locked away from his grain, and the crow can't soar if he's not open. It's like he's not free. So my clothing has a deep meaning, it has a story. It's not just a name. It has a story behind it, you know. So everything is like forming. It's like I said before, my personality, the things I love, my creative ideas, like everything to me, I just merge it. Even when I cook or make a dish, it's like I don't stick to the normal traditional menu style. I invent dishes, I create my own dishes, I add, I take away. It's like mathematics. You don't have to just stick to the original dish, you know, or we have taste, we can taste many different things, you never know. So it's like cooking to me is a form of art. I cook the same way I design my clothing. So it's all about the passion, you know.
The thing is, you remind me very much of in African cosmology, when it talks about the holistic nature of things. You know, the way you cook is the way you live, is the way you design, etc. I want to touch for a moment on the cooking part. You like to cook? What's your favorite dish? Do you have what do you have?
My favorite dish is actually seafood. Yeah, I can cook prawns, oysters, fish, lobster, crabs. You know, I specialize in seafood. I'm a really good cook when it comes to seafood. So,
and what would you normally have that with now?
It depends what I feel for. So if I cook steamed fish, I'll probably, you know, cook it with some potatoes, mashed potatoes, put a bit of cream in it, and or a bit of green peas, you know, put a bit of spring onions, stuff like that to give the flavor. It's like all the colors of food. It just, you know, it just makes me want to experience all that sort of every food there is, to be honest. And me, I'm quite in love with the food from the earth, like the yams, the bananas, the potatoes. Like me, I'm an earth guy. I love the foods from the earth, you know, because I believe that the more we eat from the earth is the more, in the sense that we're kind of like being healthy in the like. To me, eating from the earth is more healthy, and it keeps your inside clean, your mind clean, and stuff like that. It's like a refreshment for your inside. Yes. That's how I feel like the food from the earth is. So.
Do you have a concept, as you mentioned, food from the earth? And oh, by the way, I must ask you. You mentioned yams, you mentioned potatoes, and so on. Do you ever participate in a culinary expression that evolves from boiled water with flour, maybe a little green banana in there? It's called dumpling.
Yeah,
dumpling. Dumpling.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very important.
Dumpling, and you mix it with a bit of cornmeal, and you roll the dumpling. And you know about them.
Yes, essential. Because I like to see myself as a dumplingologist.
Yeah.
It is such a term, you know, whereby, very much like yourself, it's a part of what has made us to where we are just now, right? And keeping on that theme, what would you like your legacy to be, Jah-Phyah? If you can project into the future, when you've transcended, etc., how would you like us to remember you? What would your legacy be?
To be honest, I just want to be remembered as a very passionate, creative, inspiring, motivating person.
Yes.
That's what I want to be remembered for. If just living for myself, I wouldn't be doing none of this. Because every time I wake up in the morning, I think of the world, I think of people, I think of my family, I think of what can I do today to change somebody's life? What can I do today to make somebody smile? So if we live in the world for ourselves, there's no point. We must live for ourselves and for other people as well, and to leave a legacy so people can be inspired and be motivated to carry on that legacy. It's just like our past ancestors, you know, they created a world for us to make us be free and prideful, like, you know, give us the opportunity to be able to sit here today and express how we feel and to be free. So if we have that mindset and we keep that legacy going forth, then this world will be amazing, you know. So that's what I would want to be remembered for, inspiring person who changed many lives for the greater good.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, Stan. Thank you for sharing that with us. Politically now, worldwide, we're having many changes all over the world, and I wonder sometimes about the testosterone-fueled approach to wars and rumors of wars and so on. How important do you think gender is in terms of how the world is just now? Does it matter at all?
No, gender doesn't matter. I believe that if you're comfortable in your own skin, then it shouldn't matter what another person, how a person lived their life and how they express themselves. You know, because to me, I see our skin as just a temporary vessel. I believe that our spirits are what's carrying us. You know, well, our bodies carry the spirits inside.
Yes.
I believe, like, you know, we pay so much attention to men and women and tell women, oh, you shouldn't do this. Oh, men, you shouldn't wear this. Who is to say that? What we're saying is right. So why can't a person express himself the way they feel? Like, I'm a guy, but I'm very in tune with my feminine side. Doesn't mean that I walk like a female or behave like a female, but I'm very sensitive where I'm in tune with a woman's mind. I'm very in tune with women and their emotions. You know, as a man, and I believe every man should be in tune when it comes to a woman. Because there's no point being in a relationship if you don't understand a woman. A woman are very complex, and as long as you tap into your mind, you know, because women are emotional, they like that attention. They scream, especially a woman that's silent. She doesn't scream, she doesn't make a lot of noise. That's a dangerous woman. And if you're not careful, and if you don't understand how to like approach these, like especially certain women, you're just gonna lose your woman, or you're gonna lose out on even having female friends. Because women, they're very complex, and I think as men we need to sort of like tap into that feminine side of us where we understand where women are coming from. Because sometimes I believe they come across as this masculine thing where they don't really care about, they don't really understand about the needs of a woman, you know. So, but I do believe that gender is definitely, it shouldn't matter. If a guy wants to express himself a certain way, then let him. Why should we judge a person for how they express themselves? We're all human beings, and our minds are different, and how we express ourselves is different. I can't tell you how to live your life, and you can't tell me how to live my life. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that if you came to me and you had some like constructive criticism for me, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't listen. If I'm not going to listen, that means I'm ignorant. You know, so gender to me is it doesn't exist.
Yes.
Doesn't exist.
I'm intrigued by the notion that you mentioned earlier about the spirit and about the body housing the spirit and the expression thereof. In terms of expressions, okay, do you listen to music?
Yeah.
Do you have any preference?
I love all different types of music. I don't just love one music, you know what I mean? I love dancehall music, reggae. Every type of music gives me a different feeling, because I have my time where I want to listen to Zen music, and some of my friends be like, this is boring, but they don't understand. There's a time for niceness and there's a time for relaxation, when you just want some Zen music and relax and meditate. And you can't meditate on dancehall music.
It's a little bit,
you know, I don't mind meditating to conscious music like the Bob Marleys, the Garnet Silk, you know, music like that that I grew up listening to, like stuff like that that makes makes you think like raw, like life is really something, you know, because all of Bob Marley's lyrics is he spits so much truth from his guts, and he says what he sees, and he didn't care about what was going on around him. He just said it like how it is, and everything that he says is like a verse from the Bible, where everything now is just, everything that he said now is just turning out to be true. You know, all the little parables that he said, mentioned in his song, like I plant my corn, I didn't call any fall, you know, stuff like that. It's just so I vibe to all different types of music still.
I know that this is probably why I was looking forward to reasoning with you in this session, because the holistic approach to your life, you know, all the aspects of what makes you how you are as a designer have been influenced and inspired by your thoughts, your consistent thoughts in a holistic way. And to that end, I was just wondering, what's your favorite color?
Favorite color is green.
Green?
Yeah.
Why green?
Because the trees are green, the grass is green. I believe that the earth is green, so I like green. I like to have like green elements, or blue, because the sky is blue. I like earth colors, to be honest with you. I like earth colors. because earth colors to me are symbolic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And do you have a favorite word?
Word?
Mm-hmm.
Communication. Yeah, that's my favorite word because the world lacks communication. That's why we don't get along. Mm-hmm.
And in terms of sounds, is there a favorite sound that satisfies your soul?
I have to say my reggae music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that make you feel? Why does sound so important to you?
Because it's home. It's home for me, and it's my culture. And sometimes when I listen to reggae music, there's a difference. There's reggae and there's dancehall, you know. So with the reggae, it definitely brings me home. Definitely brings me back to a place where I'm just seeing the sky, the beautiful grass, like you know that island feeling. I like that island vibe.
I feel you 100%.
That island vibe. I think that's one of my best feeling, and even that reflects my clothing. So yeah.
Jah-Phyah, I really give thanks for this moment.
Yeah,
in this point in time, you know, and the clarity of your reasoning and the consistency, that holistic approach that we spoke about at the beginning of our discussion, whereby everything ties into you and how you are. Mm-hmm. And I feel that for our viewers and our listeners, this is something that we can actually learn from, you know, living authentically, understanding your truth, and having the courage to do it and move forward. You know, so viewers, you know, you've been with us for a few minutes just now in our reasoning session, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with Jah-Phyah and I. Yeah. So, on behalf of our technical team here at iDeLick.com and our creative director, Trevor Fogar-Griffiths, and of course my special guest, Jah-Phyah Payne of Crain Couture, we thank you for joining us on this edition of Reasoning Sessions, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode, which is what I meant to say in the first place. Jah-Phyah, give thanks.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
right?
Anytime.
No, seriously. And viewers, thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon. Give thanks. Stay blessed.